A slice of humble pie for the Boston Red Sox on Monday night in Houston against the Astros in the homecoming of Alex Bregman and, of course, Carlos Correa. I know, it was a tough night, and we'll certainly talk about it. Mike Antonellis with you on another edition of Red Sox Now, presented by FanArch. Thank you for watching, and we love YouTube, right? Fantastic platform, all of your fantastic comments every day. We have quite the community. I really appreciate all the comments that we get. We go, pretty much all day going back and forth, and I love it. We don't always have to agree. Can't we agree that it's okay to have a difference of opinion? A lot of you will turn a light on for me sometimes for certain things, and you have a different perspective. So I love it, and we'll have a great show today. I promise you. Before we go any further, we need you to comment. We need you to like, subscribe. But we'll do the subscribe first and then comment, because we do have a lot of people who are watching that haven't subscribed. But we are on our way to 1,500 subscribers. Man, I never thought we'd get to that this quickly, and it's all credit to you. So thank you so much. Before, I don't mind doing some personal stuff, like non-baseball. So I want to throw something out. I played in a golf tournament yesterday for Framingham State. I played with my dad, who's 80, my brother-in-law, and my best friend from high school, who I had not seen. Get out and do those things, because, as we get older, life is short, and we played in a scramble. And I was kind of peeking at the comments. That's why I got to them late yesterday. But make sure you do things like that and, have fun. So let's get to the Red Sox. All right. I just wanted to throw that out there. And if you played in a scramble this week in golf, because I know there's a lot of tournaments this time of year, let me know. What does a slice of humble pie on Monday night for the Sox mean? No, I think it's pretty simple. I think a lot of you can read in between the lines what I mean by that, because it becomes standard when Garrett Crochet pitches, especially coming off a couple of losses. I remember when the Rocket would do this all the time as the stopper. You just kind of expect and you assume. Assume is a swear word in baseball. All the years that I've worked, and I'm currently one of the radio and TV broadcasters for the Woo Sox as well, and they had a great homestand, double homestand. But if we're talking to players and coaches and you assume something, it's never good. Like, trust me, Alex Cora, I know he talked about resetting his bullpen on Monday night and things would be better, but it doesn't always work to plan. And you got to give credit to the Astros. I know we don't like doing this, but they had really good at-bats. They got 7 hits off them. The first 2 innings, Crochet looked like a monster. But this is baseball. It is so, I don't want to say frustrating, but it can be harder to predict. It can take a swing. It can take a right down a road that you never thought would happen. And, yeah, that's a tough thing. You do have Thursday off. I know you had to use Whitlock last night for 2 innings, but you got back in the ball game. But this is the humble pie. And Crochet went 4 innings. They drove the pitch count. He threw 86 pitches. He had 61 strikes. And Christian Javier, who came back, went 5 innings. And old friend Caleb Ort had a scoreless inning. I really liked how the Red Sox fought back. That last part of the game there in the 7th inning. And, someone had asked me about Roman Anthony. Did you notice he lifted the ball there? He's not always trying to do that, but he can do that. You see the power left on left. Guys, he's never seen in his life. And you see why they want him with that extra at bat. I know he struck out to end the game. Had another chance after that long double. He had another 9th inning chance to do something, which he's done, I think, 2 or 3 times already. But I love that 4-run inning. Baseball's weird. There's a lot of feel to that game, isn't it? You come out of that saying, all right, we were down 7-2 with our ace late in the game, and look how those guys, the at-bats they had. Toro started with the home run. Rafaela had a great at-bat, and they had chances late in the game. But this feels a lot to me when they were in the Phillies zone. Remember those games? Remember how people were kind of panicking? And I tried to tell you guys and gals, if he just went 6-6, and I know my expectations were low, of a 3-3 and a possible 2-4. Now you got to win out to go 3-3. You got to win one of the final two, which I'll take. 2 and 4. I know that. I know it's not great, and I get it, and I know we're doing all of this. Well, we're not going to measure up to these teams. Don't do that, because there's still time for things to grow. And listen, this is what I tell everybody in the playoffs. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to play one game over 500 each series. You're allowed to lose games in the playoffs. Yeah, but we can't. Crochet can't pitch like this against the Astros in the playoffs. We know that. He knows that. Everyone knows that. And it could happen to another team. Look how Houston played at Fenway. Did anyone expect Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez to lose their starts the way Framber Valdez pitched? All right, so this is a tough stretch. Teams have not been good on the road. Please don't go the other way. And I've seen it on social media. I'm not saying all of you. The comments are a little bit more, I don't want to say angry, but we're quick to just leave the ship. Listen, if there's certain things that you're concerned about happens over a 15, 20 game period, yeah. And we talked about that with Trevor Story. And there was a time where, he was going a while where it looked bad. But let's not go too far the other way. It's not me being a homer. It's just, this is baseball. And for me, I can't go like I've told many of you, from working in baseball, it drains a lot of the emotion and like fandom. So I just know from watching baseball every day for almost 30 years, like you can't, even when the Red Sox were winning a lot, you still have to stay here. And trust me, the guys when they wake up today, they're not thinking of anything about being 1-3 in the. They're not. They just go out there and play. That's why they're the best athletes on the planet, because there is definitely a mental component to it. And I know what we do. Well, we lost the Crochet start, and then, it gets harder. We got May. Yeah, I know. But things change so quickly. They really do. I put this with Hicks because I'm not sticking up for him. I'm just saying in 9 of the 14 appearances he's been scoreless. But that, to me, I'm not very concerned about, because I think in the outings that when he's allowed runs, it's been multi-runs. So in the last 3 outings that he's allowed runs, it's 2 or more. And he gave up 2 more last night. He gave up another home run. Throws hard. We know that. I don't think it matters in baseball. This is what I was trying to tell you about the kids. Jordan Hicks kind of profiles like a David Sandlin. It's not that easy. I have a lot of people, I just put Sandlin in the big leagues, let him just blow it out for 1 inning. Yeah, that's that. And I'm for that. And I think that will be his role. But it's not that easy. As you've seen, Hicks throws 100. Doesn't matter if you fall behind. If you're living in the zone, a lot of guys throw hard. We're seeing 95-plus velocity from bullpens. This is a tough position. And we'll get to a comment that I'll address. And I know a lot of you won't probably like this reasoning, but there is a political aspect of baseball. It's with any jobs. You traded for Hicks and Harrison. Hicks is going to get chances because of that. Whether that's wrong or right, that's how it is. That's how every single organization operates. I think if it gets to a point, he started too with the Red Sox. We had him. But if it gets, to a point, and I think that they do have guys internally that they don't think are ready yet. But they'll make changes. You see what they're doing here. Like the way that they're, keeping some guys. They're keeping that, we knew that they weren't going to make any moves to change that extra bench spot. And I loved it. Again, Yoshida comes off the bench. You like having a pinch hitter that's older like that. I trust that more than a younger player. And I like that they're carrying a third catcher. That makes a lot of sense here because Narvaez is beat up. And then you can hit or run for that catcher late. So I like that. Now, you don't have that dynamic runner with Hamilton gone, but you still have guys that can do it. But listen, I am not for sometimes guys being around because of circumstances. But Hicks right now is kind of taking that Alcala role. Right? If you see when he came into the ball game last night, he comes in the fifth inning. So I know we want every single reliever to be like up here, but they've kind of now changed his leverage spots, bringing him in the fifth. But yeah, I think part of him being there is it's a guy they trade for and it's a guy they like. But I think if it continues with the multi-run innings, they will make changes. And that, I get the frustrations of people. This is not trying to be a hot take or trying to jazz up comments, which it might, but let's ask ourselves this about Wilyer Abreu. I do like Wilyer. One thing that's fantastic about him is that he brings Gold Glove defense every day. He's a really good right fielder. You need someone like that at Fenway Park. But is he a lock? I don't know. They didn't give him a deal. They gave Abreu a deal. They haven't given Duran one because they still have control. And they still have control of Abreu, but they obviously don't think Abreu is in the same category as Rafael or Anthony, right? If they did, they'd give him something. Or maybe they have, and we don't know. But for my money, at times, I think he's way too up and down. And since July 1st, he's hitting .226 with 5 homers, 19 RBIs. That's 5 homers in every 90 at-bats or so is good, but 26 strikeouts, I just feel like is a lot of this with him. That's how the team was earlier. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. Is Josteson Garcia, who I think is a very good outfielder, that probably could handle right field. Now this is, we're looking down the road too. And I don't like doing this a lot because we got to focus on now. For now, it would be tough to put a 22-year-old kid in the big leagues. But I think it's okay to have the conversation. If he's a young player that did not get an extension, what do they think? I just think at times it's a lot of swing and miss. It might be too much. I know he has 4 games this month with hits, and 3 of them are 2-hit games. But the other 5 are, offers. And this happens. But overall, a lot of home runs and Gold Glove defense. And like I've said before, try to look at this at both sides. He's still in his second full year. So it'll be interesting to see what the organization thinks of him. Do they believe, with Rafaela, when they gave him the money, a lot of people were like, really? We're doing this? And, with Campbell, because Campbell's now in AAA. And with Bayo even. Those guys, I think, have grown leap and bounds. Do they think the same? Because not everyone's on the same path. But I don't know. I honestly don't know if he's a lock. I think maybe it's 65-35. But we're going to get to your comments. I will always go back to the boring part of my mission statement on winning. And you know it, what I'm going to say. The lineup to me is irrelevant. I think the team is good enough. And I think it looks worse at times when they face good starters. And we see the strike. They're going to have those games still. They're still young. But if you pitch, because trust me on this, and I see it, and I always make little notes of it. When they went through that, and they're still in a good stretch, 25 or 36, but when they went in that mega stretch, there were games where they didn't do a lot offensively and had similar bats as they're having now, but they pitched and they won and no one says anything. You can't hit every game. I think we expect more offensively than you really can do every day. Like the realistic part of what we want at times is just not realistic. But for my money, 3 through 5 in the rotation to me is still up in the air. I'm still not completely confident here. I want to be proven wrong. I want to see May, Buehler, and Giolito had a hiccup. If you looked at his body of work before that, I think he was 7-1. But still, Dylan Cease has like been a fourth or fifth starter for the Padres. Dylan Cease would be maybe our 2, and his stuff is really good. But he'd definitely be a 3. You know what I mean? So it's different, but that is where it's all going to come down to. All of this other stuff that we talk about, and I don't like to exhaust all the stuff when we get on having David Hamilton here, and those are so micro in the grand scheme of things. If you struggle 3 through 5, you have no chance. It doesn't matter who your lineup is. We've seen some offenses that are leaps and bounds better than the Red Sox on this Red Sox team and get knocked out in the first round because they didn't pitch. That's what it will always come down to. I know that's boring, but it's what every single baseball person will talk about. And let's get to the comments, right? Let's go have a snack. God, when Rex Ryan said that, huh? We probably have some Jets fans now. I'm going to get killed for that. At Mark for Johnny. Hey, usually enjoy. Hey, you don't have to all the time. I'll take usually. Seem to know stuff. Could you explain one day about, I'll do it now, what a team loses in flipping a player between AAA and the majors seems to why one player gets moved instead of another. Criswell pitched well, and a normal person would say, let's give him another start. Was sent back immediately because, what did you say before that start? The social media when Criswell was pitching that day against Hunter Brown was 99.9% negative. Every single person flipped after the game. I saw some people, and I called them out in DMs. They're friends of mine, but I called them out. And they deleted a few of my friends deleted their pregame, and then, I will say to you, like I said earlier, it's not always fair. Criswell was probably only going to start one game. Well, why couldn't he stay in the rotation? Well, I mean, Walker Buehler is making a lot of money, and he had a good outing, and you traded for Dustin May. And they don't go sometimes off one start. Yes, it was excellent, and a part of me agrees with you. Like, why not just keep Criswell in that spot and maybe put May in the bullpen? Well, I don't think May wants to do that. They want to see him as a starter. They feel there's more upside. But yeah, it's not fair. It happens a lot to guys. Whether it's part of the game, there's only so many spots. But I do think coming down the stretch here, though, they're going to play it even tighter. Like 50, 60 games out, they're going to let guys kind of figure it out a little bit more. But I think coming down the stretch, if the starters, 4 and 5 are struggling, I do think they'll make a move. They said that there was a chance if Buehler didn't pitch well that last outing, that they would have made a move. But yeah, but that was already predetermined. That Criswell was just going to fill in for one and go back. So that happens. More guys are there for one time and they go back. That's already predetermined. They already kept Buehler and May in there. That they weren't going to change that. And if we can debate that, whether that was the right or wrong move, time will tell. At Classic Gold Cigarettes, interesting handle. If I were GM, I would have given up any and every prospect for Kelly or Ryan. Maybe that's what Breslow tried to do. Mike, I'm with you. No one knows what happens behind closed doors. I hate it when fans speculate like it's a fact. JP Ricciardi, former GM who I do games with the Woo Sox, said there was no way that the team talked to Ryan the last hour. That's all just made up. He was a GM. I trust him, and he's got connections. I'm sure JP knows a few GMs in baseball still since he was one, so I trust him. And I think we all talked about it. The Twins had no intentions of trading Ryan. And with Merrill Kelly, I mentioned this way before, and Breslow said it, and I know we don't want to hear this. There is a possibility that Mike Hazen did not like your prospects. Breslow said it. That was not a cop-out. It's what we, and I know I've beaten this dead horse. We continue to think that our prospects are equal to every single prospect in baseball. Well, we could have trumped Arizona or Texas. We could have given numbers 1, 3. No, it doesn't work that way. And I think they did try. And Mike Hazen got 3 pitching prospects from the Rangers for Merrill Kelly, and 2 of them are starters. So if you were willing to give up Tolle, Sandlin, and say Connolly early, Sandlin doesn't profile as a starter. Maybe Arizona didn't want that. Peyton Tolle right now can't be a starter right now. And right now it's his first year. Arizona might not want that, someone that young. One of the guys they got was in AAA. And maybe they were willing to give up all 3. We don't know that. And I think it's a waste of time to beat ourselves over the head with this. You can't say that the Red Sox could have matched other teams when you don't know what those executives wanted. It's not worth any of your time. Like, I cannot waste my time worrying and thinking about things when you have no answers to those questions, right? It's pretty simple. We've made this way, and a lot of people are making this way too. We didn't try. You don't know that. They told you they did. Why? And Breslow can't lie. Trust me on this. You can't lie on camera like that, because then, I'm not sticking up for him on purpose. If you go out and say things about how other GMs approached you that weren't true, you burn a huge bridge with that organization. And you didn't hear any of the GMs say, no, that's not true. They didn't. Like, you wouldn't say that teams have to like our players if they really did and you said no to that. That GM is going to be like, well, I'm not going to deal with a guy like that just called me out. There's a lot of factors. Teams have their own rankings. And the bottom line is, right now, what people needed, like Minnesota got Mick Abel for Duran, a closer. Mick Abel's in their rotation for the Twins, and he could be an upper rotation guy. That was for a closer. So what do you think of starting pitcher? And we really need, it's August 12th. We need to turn the page on the deadline. We really do. There's nothing you can do about it now. We can't go back. At Adam Bouchard, 3645, do you see a possibility of the Sox doing the same with May or Fitz, like they did with Pivetta a couple years ago when they let someone start and bring in May, or Fitz, say, the 3rd inning? Well, that with Pivetta, they made him a full reliever, right? They put him to the bullpen, and then I think they did the opener. I don't think so. That's just more getting through the first couple of innings through the lineup. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think this organization's a big opener, but who knows? I think Fitz could be a starter. I think they have options now. That it's changed a little bit. Sad to see Nick Burdi go. I love Nick Burdi. But if they have to make some changes in their rotation, Criswell, Fitz, Tyler Uberstein are my 3. I put Harrison 4th. So, and I'll keep you guys posted on David Sandlin. This week he is going exclusively 1-inning stints. That's what we were told on Saturday. No more 2 innings. They did that twice. Well, he didn't go 2 innings both, but he threw a lot of pitches. They want to go, I believe, 3 1-inning stints on this trip in Iowa. So it could be tonight, Thursday, and Sunday. They want to have him pitch because you have to get used to that. So we'll keep you posted on that. Thanks for watching another edition of Red Sox Now, presented by Fan Archer. Mike Antonellis. Could you subscribe, comment, and like the channel? And we will talk to you on Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Go Sox.